Hi, I'm Mackenzie.
Hey, I'm Denise, and welcome to the podcast from Rundown to Reunion.
This is going to be our last podcast for 2025. And we opened up this year telling you about our word of the year.
Mhm.
And that's how we want to end the year.
Yeah.
Giving you a recap on why the word of the year is so important to us and what God has shown us through sitting with Him through these words throughout the entire year.
The importance of a word of the year. This is, I think, my second year having a word of the year, and it just gives you a focus.
Mhm.
And when life gets goofy or weird or uncertain, as it does for all of us every year at certain points and in certain circumstances, it helps you refocus,
Yeah.
or it just helps you see things from God's perspective a little better. But we talk so much on this podcast about shifting your perspective. And I think in those messy, weird moments, having a word of the year can sometimes bring you back to clarity,
Right.
bring you back to a clear perspective.
Hmm. Yeah, and last year I did a really good job at keeping a log of different things that happened just in Google Docs so I could open it on my phone and everything. And this year my word was present and content. And I did one log this year. I was joking with Denise that it's because I was so present
Yep,
that I just didn't even write anything down.
that's what we'll say.
But it has been a transformative year for both of us
Yeah.
talking through these words. And what we didn't realize when we both chose these words is that being content, being present goes right along with surrender.
Yeah.
And so they've tied so beautifully together throughout this year every time we bring up something that has happened and where we have to anchor in these words.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I think the biggest thing that I noticed when we were recapping and looking through, and we got distracted, so we stopped, but we even like were going through like our photos on our phone from like the beginning of the year till now.
Yeah.
I didn't make it very far because I take a ton of photos. I actually really should delete some of them because my storage keeps yelling at me. So, but I think for me at the very like the first business meeting of the year, and I go to a weekly business meeting, and then I actually joined another business association this year, which was a surrender for me
Mm,
because it was a financial commitment of money that I didn't necessarily have coming in, and it was mildly scary, honestly, because it's like okay, I need to make sure I make time for these meetings. Like these are more meetings that I'm adding to my calendar. And for this one, it's like once a month, once or twice a month. But still it was this that was a surrender piece too of time, money, effort. And but for me, I shifted the focus of my coaching business. And I do business commercials every single week. And I when I opened my coaching business in 2024, I focused on clientele that were stuck because that's a lot of us get stuck
yeah.
in so many different areas. And what I was finding was with the few clients that I had after I opened my business was that they were all healing from harmful relationships. And none of them were actually romantic relationships, they were family relationships. And I thought, okay, this is and just having conversations with people and friendships and seeing kind of the breakdown of certain relationships with people in my life and realizing there's a lot of toxicity out there and a lot of us don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
We don't understand the weight of it. If there's abuse involved, we don't understand that we're being abused. Abuse was actually a word that scared me in 2024. It was hard for me to talk about because when you're not physically abused, but you're abused in almost every other way, you feel mildly crazy talking about it until you start to understand it. And so for me, a huge piece of surrender was saying, I'm going to shift my coaching business and I'm going to focus on people that are healing from toxic and harmful relationships. And I'm going to start being a little more vulnerable. Even in a business commercial, I'm going to share certain things. And the amount of conversations that opened up,
Yeah.
I was very blown away by. And I remember certain women coming up to me after meetings and being like, I really appreciate that. Like, people need you. This is an underserved market. And even just in sharing certain things on social media, I noticed that the same thing. Like good friends of mine, even within the last month,
Mm-hmm.
have reached out and saying, "Hey, some things are happening."
Yeah.
And it's like all of that's happening and people feel like they have a safe space to come to due to a massive surrender on my part and just
Right.
allowing myself to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I was expecting in doing such a thing, but I just felt this tug on my heart. And I have a really great business mentor that goes to those weekly meetings. And she just said, you just gotta lay it out. She
Yeah.
said, don't sugarcoat it because the world sugarcoats everything. There's so much sugarcoating going on. So don't sugarcoat it. Just give it straight,
Yeah.
be vulnerable, and see what happens. Wow. Wow.
Yep. And every time you surrender, you just step into obedience too,
Yeah.
because the Lord brought all of those people because of that surrender.
Yeah.
I think that's so impactful. In 2024, it was a really hard year for my family. So I found myself disassociating a lot.
Yes.
And so that's kind of why my word of the year was being present and being content. And in my head, I thought it meant in moments of stillness, I would look at a painting instead of my phone and
Mm.
look outside instead of whatever, read a book. I thought it would be that type of thing. But what I found was that it was being present with what my body was telling me,
Mm.
different triggers that would come up that I had to sit through, and I had to be present with the Lord to heal those different part of me throughout this entire year,
Mm.
because I struggle with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I in the past have been like, it's fine, everything's fine, and we move on and we ignore those signs inside of our bodies. But this year I was just really present with them without shame, and also was just curious. I struggle with having a striving mentality. It was really good for me to just sit right here, right now, in what I was going through.
Yeah. We were talking about this a little bit before, and there is something about sitting and being present with the Lord in all of that ickiness that a lot of us want to run away from. And when you sit with it, that's a surrender
Yes.
as well,
Yes.
because you're choosing to not get distracted. You're choosing to not go to something and like just completely distract yourself
Yeah.
from it. But you're saying, okay, I'm going to be present with this because my body, my mind, my heart, my soul, they're telling me something and we need to work this out. And the Lord's so kind when he does that. Doesn't necessarily always feel kind
No.
in the moment.
Yeah,
But
and creating boundaries for myself too. I
mm,
started this a few years ago where I was creating boundaries for myself, and some of them are really easy and seamless, and other ones I'm not allowing myself to experience without guilt. That
mm,
I should be striving, I should be doing this, I should have XYZ done, but I set these boundaries in place because of the priorities in my life. And so making all of those recognitions and just sitting and being present with the Lord. Uh, it's always at terrible times too, like inconvenient times,
mhm,
but like the Lord always provides the time too. So
yeah,
if you're like, how do you sit and be still and do all these things when you have all these things going on? The first thing I ever did was I wrote down on a piece of paper everything I have to do, like laundry, dishes, grocery
mhm,
shopping,
mhm,
whatever it was, things I have to do
yeah,
that get done for my home, my job, whatever. Write it all down. And then look at what is actually necessary, because some of those things on your list are not what God is calling you to right now in this moment. And surrendering your schedule,
mhm,
what you think should be happening versus what God is calling you to right now, is a huge surrender piece. But you have to be present first in order to recognize those things.
yeah. And I think too, paying attention to what you're saying yes to, because a
Yeah.
lot of times we say yes to things that are good, But the more we say yes, the more exhausted we're going to be.
So we've had to surrender a lot throughout this year and be present first in that surrender with the Lord to see what He is calling you to, because you don't just want to like throw everything out the window and be like, I'm done with everything. I'm setting boundaries. You want to be in step with the Spirit and what He is calling you to, because what God is calling me to may not be what God is calling you to.
Right.
What is He speaking over you?
Yeah. What's the best yes that you can make?
Yeah.
And then take that.
Yep.
And anything else, just lay it at His feet.
Yeah.
Going back to surrender, like I said, I noticed there was a theme of surrendering in my business and that vulnerability piece. And I was able to speak at a couple conferences outside of our conferences. So that was really cool. And we did some podcast interviews. I did a TV interview, and I also was an author in a book. And all of those things circled around parts of my story that I had not made
Right.
public.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of fear with that. And I remember actually when I was writing the chapter of my book, and I think I actually might have sent the very first, very rough draft to Mackenzie.
Yeah.
And I said, is this okay? And she goes, I think you could share more. And I was like, oh, I thought this was enough. She said, no, I think the story deserves the truth. And that was exhilarating and terrifying. And one of those, and I prayed through it for sure. And the whole process was awesome. And writing a book is on my bucket list. So to be an author in a book, to be a published author this year was like one of the coolest gifts. And to me, that's another piece of when you surrender and when you're obedient, like the blessings that come. I mean, and things that I've asked the Lord for, like I'm living in answered prayers right now.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of weight and responsibility to these answered prayers that I'm living in right now. But the Lord has also given me capacity. And when I need to rest, I do. And I take that time. I've learned the importance of rest, and I'm very much a doer. And like Mackenzie was saying with your lists, like I have lists galore. You should see, like I have my planner. I do not do the whole let's put things in my phone in my calendar thing. I don't do that. Give me my physical planner so I can write it down. And it was funny. I was actually making some appointments the other day, and it's like, wait, just time out. Let me mark this down. I don't know. And I have a really good friend who's a handyman that's coming over in a few weeks, and I just need some things done. And he's like, well, I think I'm available this day. I was like, I'm just going to write you down with a question mark just in case. Like, just because I love a pen to paper thing, right? But there's so much. The harder that you're holding on to things, the harder it's going to be to surrender them. But the blessings aren't going to come with the tight fist. They're going to come with an open hand. And I think we've talked about that on here before, about open hands or like clenched fists. And you can't take anything else in your life. You can't hold on to anything else if your fists are clenched very tight. But you can take more when you say, all right, Lord, here, I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to open up my hands. I'm going to surrender this. I'm going to surrender my fear. I'm going to surrender my uncertainty. And I'm going to step into these bold, scary things that you're calling me to, because I know that you're calling me to them. And I know that because you're calling me to them, you're not just going to leave me out to dry. You're going to use these things, and he's going to use them for the kingdom. And he gets to use you. Like you get to partner with him. When you surrender, you get to partner with the Lord. That is exciting stuff.
I love that. I know you put little question marks by people's names.
I totally do.
You've done it with me, but shouldn't that be how we live every single life? Like we have our plans,
Yeah.
but there's the question mark by it. Like, what is God actually calling you to?
That's
what
good.
does He want? Like, we should wake up every morning and have that question mark by all of our plans, and be okay with being interrupted and surrendering our schedule and our days to Him.
Yeah. That's tricky. That's still a piece that the Lord really has to work on with me, because
Well, I hope every time you write a question mark in your calendar,
I will
you'll remember.
I will. I absolutely will now. you
Maybe
know.
at the top of the month, just put a big question mark.
Question mark.
Like,
All right. Well, and I think too, it's like, okay, Lord, here's my plans, but you do whatever you want to do today.
yeah,
That's a surrendered heart.
yeah,
But when it's like, all right, Lord, just bless everything I'm doing,
right.
there's check your heart posture.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. There was so much this year of being content and in the moment. And what I realized was that there was this fear of judgment that I've carried for a really long time. And it has spilled out into most things that I do and has kept me from being truly who I am and who God's calling me to be. And that's been a huge wake up call for me this year is that fear of judgment.
Yeah.
And, this year in 2025, we ran two different conferences. One was through a church and one was by ourselves, our first From Rundown to Renewed conference. And totally different dynamics, right? Like we were just partnering with the church, doing what we were told. And then in this conference, we really got to be led by the Holy Spirit of what He wanted us to talk on, partner with people that He was aligning us with. And that whole experience was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But still in the back of my head, there was this fear of judgment, of like, you're going to come off to woo woo, like, you're going to XYZ, insert judgment. And so just the other day, actually, I burn hats on the side. I burn designs into hats. And I had a woman that wanted me to burn a design on a jacket. And it took a while to be able to meet up and get it. And I was transparent with my schedule. This was 2 weeks prior to our women's conference. And, had said that I probably would not have time in those 2 weeks to work on it, but I would try. And she checked in with me after the conference, like hoping everything went well and checking in on her jacket. And then my kids had musical that whole next week, which I didn't realize it was our first time running this musical, but we had that the whole next week and then their performances that weekend. So my timeline and her timeline were not aligning, and she just asked for her jacket and money back. And in a healthy person, maybe this would be completely fine, but I started spiraling. I disappointed somebody, and my stomach like hurt that this was happening. So I again decided to be present with my body and be able to sit with the Lord and be like, Lord, reveal whatever you need to reveal to me because I know there's something here. And it wasn't about the jacket or the disappointment. It was about wiring that had happened a long time ago inside of me that learned that when I disappointed someone, it meant that I was unsafe. And so sitting with that, and this is the part of being present and content that sucks. Like, I'm not going to be like, this was a beautiful experience. And I'm so present and content now. No, like these words of the year come with work.
Mm-hmm. They come with weight.
Weight. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good word.
Yes.
So I sat there with the Lord and cried about all of these things. And there's grief that goes into it too. Grief that I am wired this way, but there's also hope in knowing that the Lord can rewire the way that I am. And it comes in these moments when I'm sitting and present and recognizing, not shaming myself for acting this way or judging, but to just sit and then surrender that fear of judgment over to the Lord because it has no place.
That's right.
In my home, in my family, in this business, in anything.
That's right.
And so I spent a long time just crying and and growing and surrendering.
Yeah. I was talking to a woman this week. She's an author on the book that I'm in. And she went through a really nasty divorce decades ago now. And she talks about what she did out of that. And she runs a beautiful organization that helps women in the same category that I want to help women. And I didn't get to really chat with her at the book launch. So I was so tickled. She was at my business meeting this past week. And we got to talk afterwards. And she was asking about our conference. And we were just chit chatting. And I told her how impacted I was by her chapter and how she spoke of her ex husband. And she spoke of him with a lot of dignity, despite a lot of pain that had been caused and had been caused to her children, and a lot of suffering that went on through that. And I just told her, I said, I appreciate how you spoke with dignity about him. And I just thought that that was very powerful. And we were chatting through just different things that the Lord has called us to, and the surrendering piece and forgiveness and all of that. And you know, we at some point we were talking, and it's like, well, these lessons are harder because your calling's higher. And I thought about that when Mackenzie was speaking, because a word of the year or whatever the Lord is calling to you, whatever that is, there will be weight to it.
Right.
And that's a piece that we want to avoid. But with high callings come surrender. And and the Lord wants I said this in my message at the conference, but he wants your heart whole.
Yeah.
He doesn't just want like your whole heart, he wants your heart whole.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge piece for me this year. Was I had some really nasty things come up. And it brought up a lot of fear as well. Mackenzie's talking about a fear of judgment. Mine is a fear of punishment. And I did not realize how debilitating it was and how long it had been in me. But it's been there for a very long time, very much a rewiring situation as well. And the Lord brought these really difficult things that I did not want to face, but I had to go toe to toe with, and I had to face head on. And what he really taught me was, hey, we got to start dealing with some of this ugly stuff, like in your heart, because I created you, and you're so beautiful, and I love you, and I love you through all the processes that you go through. But now it's time to really start tackling this. It's time to really start tackling some of this ugliness that you have dealt with, but we really got to face it head on, because you can't take this into where I'm taking you. And that's hard business, man. It's no joke.
Yeah.
Especially when you've gone through really intense betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to sit in that forever.
Nope.
And that's not my story. It's
Nope.
part of it. It's not the whole thing.
Well, God wants you to live an abundant life, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And we've talked about abundance so much. We did a whole series on living limitless. The Lord wants abundance for us, but part of that abundance is surrender.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping our eyes on Him. It's a relationship with Him that is truly abundant. And we talked about that in our last episode with Alexa.
Yeah.
Like, we could lose everything, but having Jesus, we have everything. Mm-hmm. That's so true. Yeah. And you can only really have that heart posture when you allow yourself to surrender.
Right.
And say, okay, I want what you have for me, and help me deal with whatever it is I'm hanging on to or whatever I'm still living under, so that I can have everything that you want for me.
Yeah. And I think with surrender, it's really important to talk about that it's not a one and done type of situation.
It'd be so nice.
It would be so nice, wouldn't it?
It's so
but
nice.
it is a journey, and sometimes you have to continually surrender something over to the Lord.
Yes.
And like Denise was saying, her capacity grew this year because of surrender.
Yeah.
And so will yours. As you continue to surrender, your capacity for it grows, making it whatever situation less triggering, or just being able to walk through that
Well,
with the eyes of grace.
yes, yes. And when you are able to talk about things and just talk about them as they are factual, they have so much less power over you. But you have to start that vulnerable piece.
Yeah.
And you don't have to broadcast it. Like that's just what God asked me to do. Maybe not broadcast isn't the right word, but but he asked me to share openly and publicly, and I have always done so in a way that is honorable
Yeah.
and isn't bashing or anything like that because no one wins when you do that, and it just makes you look bad. That's never a winning stance, and that's not really a surrender because then you're just being ugly with your story, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah. So I think as Christians, there there are like two categories. When you start recognizing these things, you can either shove it to the side and ignore it, or you can step into it.
Yeah, yeah,
And when you step into it and fully surrender, you're stepping into obedience.
that's right.
Because if you ignore and try to shove it down, you stay in that same place.
Yeah,
Nothing that, hold on, how do I want to say this? You can't move past something that you're trying to stuff
mm-hmm.
and live that abundant life
Yeah.
if you don't surrender.
You can't have both. You can't, and that's why it's such a journey.
Right.
Forgiveness is a journey.
Yeah.
Letting go is a journey. And something with this woman that I was sharing about, I mean, she looked at me and she just said, Denise, honey, it just takes as long as it takes. And how many of us put a timeline on something? Like we're talking about a word of the year. And I was sharing with Mackenzie earlier, like I think surrender, unless the Lord tells me something different in the next month, I think surrender is it for 2026 too. I don't think you're never really done surrendering,
No,
but I
absolutely
think
not.
the focus is still on surrender.
Yeah. I'm praying for a new word.
I mean, I'd love a new one too, but I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows what it'll be and what it will require of me.
Yeah. The great thing about a word of the year is that they all compound on top of each other.
Yeah,
Like I can
absolutely.
remember every single word that I've done so far because it has been so impactful in my life.
Yeah,
And so I know whatever God has for me next, it's going to build on top of whatever I've learned already. So
that's
we've
exciting.
never fully made it.
We
We're
never will.
always,
On the side of heaven,
yes,
we never will.
but we continue on our continue on our sanctification process
That's right.
until we get to meet the Lord in heaven.
That's right. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing. So Mackenzie and I went to Elevation Nights uh, end of February.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. It was awesome. It's
It
a
was awesome.
beautiful night of worship, and she came over and she spent the night. I think you were here the whole weekend. That sounds right. And we got this. Well, I don't know how it came about, but we were just talking about what else could we offer in our ministry. Like what else could we do? And got this idea for gift boxes. And
Denise
yeah,
had this idea.
and that's the thing is like I will say that my brain is more of the analytical, I'm planning, I'm thinking through processes,
Yeah.
and Mackenzie has more of the creative brain. So to come up with something that was creative and she goes, Denise, like, look at what you're doing.
Yep.
Like, look at what's
I'll never
happening.
stop shouting
Yeah,
it from the
yeah.
mountaintops.
And it was one of those things where it was another surrender piece because
Yeah.
because I remember, and I don't think it was a fear of punishment. It was just fear, I think, in general. And I had to really let that go because it was one more thing that I could promote at meetings and we could promote on our website and we could promote and just get more, you know,
Impact.
start to make, yes, more of an impact and just grow. And growth is exciting and growth is scary. But the response to these boxes has been incredible.
Yeah.
And we made some up today. So
We did.
if you are in the need for Christmas, we already have at least 2 Christmas orders so far, and we really haven't promoted it. So I'm confident there will be more. But we had people reach out over the last few days and say, I'm gonna need one in December.
Yeah.
So that was that was a really cool just.
And it was like you had this idea and
Mhm.
she was like super excited. She's like, gift boxes. And then she's like, no.
Yeah, I immediately shut it down. I did. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It was
Mhm.
immediate. And I was
Mhm.
like, hold on. Tell me more about this idea. Like,
Yeah.
what do you envision?
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the amount of impact that we've been able to have because of those boxes and
Mhm.
be able to provide a space for people to just have that be present and content with the Lord
And surrender
and
too.
surrender. Like
Yeah,
that's what these
absolutely.
boxes are all about.
Yeah.
And we have my peace journal in there, which I launched in 2025 also.
Yeah.
Another piece of fear of judgment broken. Um,
Mhm.
so we have that. We have a cozy blanket. Denise and I love blankets. So
Yeah, you can't go wrong with a good blanket.
I'm sure you all love blankets too. We have a mug to drink your nice warm cup of coffee or tea or whatever you like.
Hot chocolate this time of year especially.
Yes.
Mhm.
We have a bookmark, one of the magnetic ones that stay on top
They're
so
awesome.
it can stay in your journal. A pen because who doesn't love a pretty pen?
Pretty pen.
And then a candle to just set the mood. You can do
Mhm.
this in the dark and just have your little candle on, whatever you want. But
Oh,
the
and the prayer cards.
and the prayer cards are one of the best things
Mhm.
because we have a past series about the unspoken feelings.
Mhm.
And these are feelings that a lot of us don't want to talk about. And so we lead you to someone in the Bible that
Yeah.
experienced that emotion and then a prayer that you can pray over yourself. And so these boxes are so healing and it's been really cool to see
It's been
the
really fun.
fruition of all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And
I
we
guess plug, make sure you order one.
Yeah, seriously. And we will have them at our future conferences too. We
Yes.
sold out at our From Rundown to Renewed conference, which
Yes.
was really, really fun.
Yeah.
It's just been fun to see them evolve too.
Yeah.
Like how they started is not, I mean, all the product is the same, but
Yeah.
we're packaging them a little differently. Like we're just kind of gaining, excitement and more like kind of wisdom and ideas around the boxes.
Yeah.
So again, there's that piece of like when you surrender, the Lord he just opens doors.
Yeah.
And it's not even, those boxes aren't even about us. They're genuinely to help people encounter that closeness
Mm-hmm.
with the Lord. Like that's our whole goal.
That's the goal.
So it's really humbling. It's really, really humbling when you are open to what the Lord is asking you to do and you surrender your own plans.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have done those boxes
Right.
100%. And like I said, I am creative, but it's not my strongest suit. I'm thinking about all the practicality
Right. Right.
of getting the boxes together
Yes.
which is why we made a bunch today because it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Get it all done.
Yeah.
So they're ready. So we're not scrambling.
Yeah.
We can get things out efficiently. See, you can hear it. You can hear it in my planning. But that's also the beauty of a partnership.
So maybe you're listening and you're like, okay, I am going to choose a word of the year this year. How do I do that? How do they do that, Denise?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is just to pray and just ask God, hey, what is it that you want to teach me in 2026? What word do you want to just be a consistent piece in my life?
Yeah.
And he will reveal it to you and you can trust his timing. Maybe he doesn't reveal it to you by December 31st. Maybe he reveals it to you the moment after you pray. That's up to him, not up to you.
Right.
We would encourage you to be weary of phrases
Yeah.
because then it just gets a little too wordy and then maybe
Right.
you forget.
Yeah.
So one word we have found in our word of the year practice that it's simpler to remember and can be more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're going through something, it's almost like that's like one of the first places you go to. Like, oh, surrender. That's what this is about.
Yeah. And we will come back at the new year and let you know what our words are.
Yeah,
So, or follow us on Facebook and we'll keep you posted on there too.
it's exciting. Very exciting. So, like we shared, we have gift boxes available. You can order them on our website. You can send us a message. If you're local, we'll get them to you, or you can come pick them up at my house. Beautiful. I love guests. Come hang out. Come pick up a box.
Yeah. Something that we also did in 2025 that required being present and surrendering was
Mm.
we launched a testimony course, and this course has been really impactful for women that maybe don't know how to share their testimony or don't even know like what is a testimony, people that want to craft it better because we are called to share our testimony.
Mhm.
People can be saved because of the word of your testimony.
That's right. That's right.
So if you're sharing your testimony in a way that points other people to the Lord, that is what we want to be doing. So we have a course set up that we're going to start January 20th again with a new course. And so if you want to sign up for that, we'll have the link in the description below because that is something every believer should take so that you can be ready whenever the Lord calls you to it.
Holiday season can be really trying for a lot of us and more challenging than other parts of the year. And so we created a prayer guide for your weary heart. And it is on our website. And you can go to fromrundowntorenew.com and get your free copy. And we would love to really bless you in that way.
If you're feeling run down,
There is space for you at our table.